Welcome. Thank you all so much for being here. What a delicious lunch. Let's give Muskogee Creek Nation a round of applause for that. Again, thank you so much for being here. Welcome. I'm Corey Williams, the Executive Director of the Sustainability Alliance, and our board is delighted to welcome you here today, here at River Spirit Casino. And thanks for those that are also joining online to our B2B Case for Sustainability series. This is what is new on the horizon, the energy conservation. So we've got a great slew of panelists that are lined up, and it's going to be a great conversation. So we're so glad you're here with us for that. We also have questions that you have an opportunity to send in. So there's a QR code for that. We also have an opportunity for you to tell us a little bit about this event and how we can do better with that. So take a little click of that, the QR code, and let us know how we can continue to improve these for you. Again, our team wants to say thank you to the B2B Case for Sustainability series sponsors and that continue to share, so we can continue to share this important conversation around that triple bottom line of people, profit, and planet, and how those three really do work together, and how each community, be that your home, your business, your community, and state, how we have to work together with those different variables of people, profit, and planet. And so I want to thank specifically our VP sponsors. That's the Oklahoma Department of Environmental Quality, the Oklahoma Secretary of Energy and Environment, ONEOK, Spirit Aerosystems, Explorer Pipeline, and American Waste. Let's give them a round of applause. And also want to give a big thank you to our event sponsor today, Muskogee Creek Nation, and this delicious lunch. Let's give them a round of applause. And a big shout out to James Williams and Christy Lawson. I know you probably, most people know them in the room, but if you'll, all right, let's give, oh, there they are. Our mission is to provide education tools and connections for collaborative action on environmental stewardship, supporting that, again, triple bottom line of people, profit, and planet. And we are committed to the resiliency of our community, the success of our business members, and ensuring that healthy planet for generations to come. That's what this is all about. And we really appreciate the opportunity to have thoughtful conversations around how we can do that together, because we want to leave a legacy for our children and children we may not know into the future, so that they can live a wonderful life. So that's why we do this work. And we offer a suite of programs, which include Scorecard, First Thursdays, Green Drinks, TerraScore, First Steps, B2B Case for Sustainability series, all this to support individuals and businesses along that sustainability journey. And if you're interested, our team is delighted to assist you with that journey and to partner on projects. So reach out to our team. We would love to talk with you. If you have questions today for our panelists and the moderator, I think on the screen here, you'll see an opportunity to text information, text that question, and we'll send that to the moderator, and we'll try our best to get that question asked today. And if not, I think many of our panelists will be able to stick around and answer those questions as well. So please do that if you can. And now it is truly my complete honor to introduce a longtime friend and colleague, Muskogee Creek Nation Office of Environmental Service Director, James H. Williams. Please welcome him to the stage.
Oh, that's a good picture. Either eating or laughing. Thank you so much for everybody coming out for this B2B meeting today. It looks to be a good agenda. I've got some really good speakers here, and I just want to thank everyone for coming out today. We look forward to hosting this, and this is always a good event for us too. I've been around for 32 years at the Nation, and it's been good. I always say you need to do what you love and love what you do, and I do that. I've got a pretty good staff that I work with, but I do have to introduce some people that are from the tribe, and these are some folks to get to know. I'll start with Miss Thomasine Osborne. She's one of our council reps, so if you give her a hand. Also, we have Mr. Trent Kazee. He's my boss, so Secretary of Interior. His admin assistant, Miss Anna Smith. Yeah. We have Miss Myrna Packian, our HR director, and I'm on my best behavior. But it's good to see some old friends that we have here and meet some new ones. It's always good to do that. And on our end of it, on the Muskogee Creek Nation, I'm hoping these slides are going to move a little bit. At the Muskogee Creek Nation, we're all about sustainability practices and stuff. And so this is some of the things that we take to heart as Native people. We're all about doing the recycling program there at the Nation. We have some big events on Earth Day. This is one of our bigger recycle events. And we have a lot of electronics, and we team up with Tracy Phillips. Tracy, raise your hand. Tracy Phillips right there at Natural Evolution. Anytime we get a bunch of offices, and you know how electronics are, as soon as you buy it, it's already outdated. And somebody wants something new, the new phone or whatever. And that's just some of the things that we do sustainability-wise. But also, we all, our theme there at the Nation is clean air, clean land, and clean water. So this was our community event that we just had for Earth Day. We take a bunch of volunteers and we clean up along the loop. And the Sustainable Alliance came down to join us. We had about 50 people that day that joined us. And it had to be something extraordinary because it rained and rained and rained and rained. And we thought, are we going to call it off? No, we didn't call it off. And it just so happened the rain broke and we were able to have that event. It was a good time. Appreciate all the volunteers, and it was really good. But like I was saying, what's mainly at the tribe is clean water, clean air, and clean land. And boy, look at this picture here. This is one of our lakes that we have, and it's we have some guys that do water sampling for us, and we call them our water boys. And I'd like to be a water boy now, And go to the next slide if you would. Oh, well, it's not on there. Okay, but anyway, we had a picture of them out in their kayaks doing water sampling, and so tough job. But one of my water boys right there. If you work for the Office of Environmental Services for the Nation, would you please stand? We've been members of the Sustainability Alliance. Back when it got started, we were Sustainable Tulsa way back when. Me and Corey were talking earlier, and we started meeting at the El Lote restaurant way back in the early 2000s. So that's how long we've been doing this. But I think our first project was the Green Directory. It listed a bunch of companies that did green energy projects or green energy sustainability practices, and I think it was one of our first. But hats off to Corey and her team. It's always a pleasure. It was a pleasure of mine to serve on the board for so many years, and now it's in good hands. And so I certainly appreciate that time. But now enough of me, because I got to introduce the welcome guy here, and that's our second chief, Mr. Dale Beaver. Dale was elected second chief at the Muskogee Creek Nation in November of 2019. He's a second-generation tribal leader. Mr. Dale is the son of Marion Beaver and the late Perry Beaver, who served as a Muskogee Creek Nation principal chief for 2 terms, 1996 through 2003. He's a member of the, Dale, Octagogie clan, and this tribal town is New Tulsa. After his graduation from Jenks High School, so he's just right across the river, Dale received both a bachelor's and a master's degree from Northeastern State University in environmental management and operations. From 2005-2016, he served the nation in the Office of Environmental Services the last 4 years as director. Under his leadership, Office of Environmental Services enjoyed tremendous growth and expansion, which included the nation's very first recycling center and added several resource programs within the department. In 2016, Mr. Dale began his public service career as he was elected to the National Council representing the Okmulgee District and held the office until being elected second chief. Away from his executive duties as with the nation, Mr. Beaver is also associate pastor at Native Stone Baptist Church in Sapulpa, and he and his wife, Rhonda Lowe, reside in Morris and are proud parents of the children of Isaiah, Olivia, and Adele. Please give him a warm welcome. Our second chief of the Muskogee Nation, Mr. Dale Beaver.
All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone. You know, when I came here, James let me know about 20 minutes ago that I was going to have to speak at this at the opening. And but you know what? Whenever I come to an event like this that is near and dear to my heart, because events like this it transcends who we are. Meaning that I've gotten the environmental field because I wanted to have a bigger purpose. I didn't care about titles. I really didn't care about my salary at all, which kind of made my wife mad. But it didn't matter to me because the pay was not why I got into the environmental field. If you get into the environmental field for a salary, then you got in the wrong field, let me tell you that. But it was about because fulfillment. I was doing something I loved. When I went home at the end of the day, I knew I was trying to make a difference. And so that transcended after 5 o'clock, meaning that I just don't believe it from 8 to 5. I believe it with every fiber of my body. And that if you if you want to be concerned about the environment, then it's after 5 o'clock and it's before 8 o'clock. And so I have instilled practices at my house that we do that helps the environment. And so that's what I love about this field is that I look around this room and I see people with like minds. I see people that I've been friends with for a long, long time. I've been with the nation for 20 years, but I've been in the environmental field. Well, I started in 2000. And so for a good 25 years, this has been something I believe in. And so I see my friends like Tracy and Corey and Matt. I just saw you in the food line. I didn't know you were right behind me. But you know, it's people like them that are believers, and I have lifelong friends that I've made from this field. And so when you have those types of relationships and you have those types of beliefs, it makes the job a lot easier. And so even in our own department, we got people that's been there. James been there for 30 years. Sue, you've been there going on 20 years, I guess, something like that. Yeah, Sue's been there a long time. Judy, you've been there a long time. You know, so that's a testament to the belief of the people that we hire, is that it's not just a job. It's something that they believe in, and it's something that you love to do. And so that's what today is so special, is that I can look back and think about, hey, whenever I'm done in this position, whenever God tells me that I need to go in a different direction, whenever that may be, I'm gonna fall back on my love, which is the environmental field. And like I said, I don't care what my title is, because to me it's about doing where God has put you and doing what you love. And so whether it's serving the people, whether it's serving the nation, whether it's just recycling, picking up trash, we all have a part that we have to do. We all have a part. If you don't know what your part is, then just ask somebody and they'll tell you, right? And so that's what I tell my people, is that if you don't know what your part is, let me know, and we'll find something for you to do. And so, and that's what I love about this environmental field, is that I never knew what I was going to do almost daily. I had an idea what I had in mind to do that day, but every time that phone rang, I never knew what I was going to have to go do. But that's what I loved about it, is that there was spontaneous, it was exciting. We wear a lot of hats in the environment field, don't we? A lot of hats. So that's what really that I loved, is just the spontaneity, all the mixture, all the people that you get to meet, and the lifelong friendships that you develop. And so I just want to encourage everybody here in this room is to keep it up. Environmental work is not about politics. It's bigger than politics. It's not about where you're born. It's not about the color of your skin. It's not about how much money you make. It's about what's doing best for everybody. And so don't bring that trash into the environmental field, literally. We don't have time for that. We don't have room for that. You get into the field because it's about doing what's right for everyone. If we're picking up trash, if we're writing letters to Congress because of a smokestack that's hurting our neighborhood, it's not just hurting my house, it's hurting everybody's house. It's not just hurting our Indian homes, it's hurting everybody's homes. So we do it on behalf of everybody. And like I said, it doesn't matter where you came from. It doesn't matter who you voted for. There's no place for that in this field. This field is too important to be caught up in little things like that. And going into this fiscal year, going into this administration, this new administration, I know it's going to be harder than ever to keep that, but we have to stay focused on what matters most. We have to stay focused on what matters most, and that's your neighbor. That's your family. So do what you're supposed to do. Do what's right. That's what my dad always told me. Just do what's right. Just do what's right. Sometimes it's the hardest thing to do, but do what's right. And so that's what I've always taken with me. If I can go to bed at night and go to sleep, not concerned about what decisions I made, then I think I've done what's right. But that's what this room is about. Do what's right. That's what I want to encourage you to do today. Just do what's right and don't worry about everything else. There's going to be somebody that will help you out. There's always going to be somebody that's like-minded, and that's the person next to you right now. So if you ever feel that, nobody cares, or if you ever feel that, the money's not there, or if you ever feel that, I'm by myself, you're not. Believe me, you are not alone. If you want somebody on your side, call our office up. Call the nation up. We will help you. We will try to help you. We will try to find resources for you. Because you're our neighbor, and we care about you. So I just want to encourage you today, is do what's right, but you always have a friend in the Muskogee Creek Nation. We're there to help, and nothing else. And like I said, I don't care who you voted for. I don't care what color you are. It does not matter. We got to do what's right, and we got to help each other out. Life's too tough to go at it by yourself. So I appreciate the time. Corey, I appreciate what you've done. It's grown so much, and I know you put a lot of hard work into it. And so I just want to say Mado for everything you've done. So have a good time. And if there's any questions, I'll be over there for a while. If you got any concerns, hey, let's hear them. That's what today's about, discussion. I love talking. It's about discussion, right? We can agree, we can disagree, but we still have to discuss the topics. We still have to discuss what's hard. But that's how we get things done, though. And that's how we come to resolutions, is we got to have the discussions. So I appreciate everybody in here, and y'all have a good day. Mado.
Let's give Second Chief Beaver another round of applause. And today we're going to get into this discussion. I'm excited about, I've already started to get requests for questions for our moderator and our panel. So let's get into it. And again, another complete pleasure to introduce friend and colleague, moderator today, former First Secretary of Energy and Environment, Mike Teague. Mike Teague serves as the Vice President of Government Relations with ONEOK, where he leads the team in engaging at federal, tribal, state, and local levels. Previously, Mike served as Oklahoma's first Secretary of both Energy and Environment, working across traditional political and development divides to solve contentious issues collaboratively. Prior to his service with the state of Oklahoma, Mike accrued a wealth of international and domestic experience from his nearly 3-decade-long active duty Army career. Before retiring from the rank of colonel, he commanded the Tulsa District U.S. Army Corps of Engineers from 2010 to 2013. Mike holds a bachelor's degree in civil engineering from Norwich University and a master's degree in operations analysis from the Naval Postgraduate School and in National Security and Strategic Studies from the Naval War College. Please help me welcome Mike Teague.
So if you want to feel old, 2 weeks ago, I was back at the Corps of Engineers for their change of command for the 5th district commander after me. So it's been a minute. Chief, thanks for your comments. The idea of discussion. I'm at ONEOK now. Here's Thornton as our CEO. And his version of that is we pick issues, we don't pick sides. Right? And you have to have the conversation. And today, we're going to talk about the future of energy, a little specifically to Oklahoma, but also broadly across the country. But it really is about energy and environment, and not just because that was, my title previously, but it really is that intersection, that confluence, that discussion that we need to have, because we need to increase the energy across this country, and we need to do it in the right way that takes care of the environment, that takes care of our people, takes care of our businesses. So it really is a great panel today, I'm really excited for the conversation. So I hope it plays out as well for you all as it does for us. Our first panelist is Katie Altschiller. Katie, as of about 20 minutes ago, is the Deputy Executive Director of the Hay Institute for American Energy. Prior to her role at the Institute, she managed federal and state government affairs, regulatory, and community relations for Marathon Oil Corporation. Katie's experience includes senior roles in both the federal and state government. In the U.S. Senate, she served as Senior Floor Assistant and Policy Advisor for Senator Don Nichols in the Whip Office, and later as the Staff Director for the Senate Republican Policy Committee. Upon returning home to Oklahoma, she served as the Policy Director for 2 speakers of the Oklahoma House of Representatives and as Policy Director for Oklahoma Governor Mary Powell. Please welcome. Our next panelist is Nico Ciccone. Nico is the Director of Regulatory and Political Affairs for NextEra Energy Resources, the NextEra Energy Incorporated subsidiary. NextEra Energy Resources is one of America's largest wholesale generators of electric power in the United States. Nico is responsible for the government affairs activities for NextEra Energy Resources in Kansas, Nebraska, and Oklahoma. Nico holds a bachelor's degree in management from Indian River State College and an MBA from Florida Atlantic University. Please welcome Nico. Next panelist is Tiger Carter. Tiger currently serves as an Environmental Specialist 2 with the Muskogee Creek Nation Orphan Wells Program. He's a Muskogee citizen and a College of Muskogee Nation graduate. He has a diverse professional background that includes 13 years of experience in the oil and gas industry as a petroleum landman specializing in tribal lands, title examination, well mapping and identification, surface and mineral ownership, and is a commercial drone pilot. Please welcome Tiger. Last member of the panel is Trent Llewellyn. Trent serves as an Environmental Specialist 2 with the Muskogee Creek Nation. He holds a degree in Environmental Health and Safety Engineering from Northeastern State University, with a background as an emergency medical responder, firefighter, and OSHA safety trainer. He brings a multidisciplinary approach to environmental challenges and some site remediation practices. Currently in his position at Muskogee Nation Orphan Wells Program in Oklahoma's Region 6 Regional Response Team, he addresses the environmental hazards of abandoned oil and gas wells through strategic planning, technical remediation, and stakeholder collaboration. Trent is committed to advancing the program's success and supporting our community's environmental health, safety, and education for the future. Okay. So like I said, I really am excited for this conversation of what's on the horizon. And I like that, not only the phrasing of what's on the horizon for energy, but so many of the pictures of the Oklahoma Great Horizon that have got pump jacks and drill rigs and wind turbines and wheat fields, right? I mean, it's what makes Oklahoma's horizon today. Energy is such a huge piece of it. So we're going to hear from each of the panelists. So towards the end, Corey already had put the prompt up there. Text, and that phone number is Corey's if you need it. But text questions to Corey, and then she's going to forward them to me up here so I can ask the panelists. So, Katie, we're going to start with you. I made the comment about, in your brand new position, as we were sitting having lunch, Katie got the final approval that she is official now. But talk a little bit about what the HAM Institute does and just how broadly it is, because it's really putting not just the Institute, but Oklahoma on the map when it comes to national energy policy.
Absolutely. Good afternoon, everyone. We're very happy to be here today to introduce you to the HAM Institute if you haven't heard of it before. It's the HAM Institute for American Energy. It was created by Harold Hamm, the founder of Continental Resources, with a major gift, and it is housed at Oklahoma State University. We actually have our office and research lab in Oklahoma City. And you can see our mission on the screen, but it's pretty simple. I mean, we're trying to advance energy security. That is our mission. And what that means to us is making sure there is abundant, clean, safe, and affordable energy for all Americans and also across the world. Because it's critically important with the kind of geopolitics going on in the world today. In America, we know how to do it better and safer. We have the innovators, we have the scientists, we have the resources. And so we are serving as a convener at the Institute to bring together academia, industry, and also policymakers to have some of these discussions about how we move forward as a country and meet the energy demands, which we're going to get into more, I know, a little bit later, because there is exponential growth in energy demand that wasn't even predicted, even a couple of years ago. And so there's a lot of work to do as a country in that. And so part of our mission also includes geopolitics and expanding, as I mentioned, beyond America into European and Asian markets, American-produced sources of energy. We are all of the above institute, but there are three energy sources in particular that we do focus a little bit more on, and those are dispatchable base load energy sources of natural gas, geothermal, and nuclear. We are also doing work in the carbon capture technology and innovation space, among others. We have also, as part of our mission, energy education and workforce. And so we are trying to educate the younger generations about where energy actually comes from and what goes into it, and to also encourage them to go into the energy workforce. Because for America to lead in these spaces, we have to have the workforce to support that. It's critically important. And lastly is the research piece. We are housed at a university. We have 10 fellows from the various colleges at Oklahoma State University doing a variety of work there under several grants. And then we also have a state-of-the-art lab at our office in Oklahoma City. It's the only lab in the world that houses 3 live well bores. And additionally, we have a closed loop piping system in it, so you can do all kinds of experiments with regard to innovations in the energy space. So that's who we are.
So with all the research and everything else, But that focus on policy, you guys just pulled together a huge summit. On about 30 days' notice, 4 cabinet secretaries were sitting in Oklahoma City because the Ham Institute asked them, or somebody asked them. But talk a little bit about what the summit was. I know it was targeted at AI. It really was so broad.
It was. It was really exciting. I think it was the first gathering of its kind in the country. And we brought together several policymakers. As Mike mentioned, we had 4 cabinet secretaries there. We brought together leaders from the energy industry as well as tech. And I think it's really the first time all of those people were in the room together, sort of having this conversation. And we're able to sort of talk with each other and exchange ideas about what is necessary for America to lead on the development of AI. Because it's going to be America or it's going to be China. No one else has the resources to get there. And America obviously has an advantage in this race. But we do not have the energy available today that is required to get us there. And it's going to take a very comprehensive approach and really a national energy plan, right? And transmission is a huge part of this as well. And so it's really important that we get all those people together to sort of talk about what the needs are, what is required, and how can we all work together to lead. As an example, there are going to be 50 new gigawatts required for AI infrastructure alone over the next 2 years. And to kind of put it in more practical terms, the amount of energy used to launch a rocket is what is required by one AI data center on a daily basis. Like that's what we're talking about. Those are the quantities we're talking about. And I think there's been a lot of talk too, because energy demand had kind of stagnated a little bit, in America. But with this new development and AI on the horizon, it's just going to be a massive need. And I think the history of the world also does teach us that energy begets energy, right? So the more efficient we become, the more energy we need, the more we want to do faster, right? So there's also a conversation as whether this sort of AI bubble is permanent or temporary. And I think most people that are doing work in this space today will tell you this demand growth is only going to continue to grow. It is not a temporary thing. So it's something we've got to get serious about really quickly.
So we'll pass the microphone to Nico because NextEra was part of that summit as well. And, my experience, somebody in Oklahoma were to ask me about NextEra, they're really talking about a wind project, right? But I think NextEra is the largest purchaser of natural gas in the United States, right?
We are.
Yeah. So really talk about kind of the breadth of the company, and then maybe we'll zero in a little bit more on Oklahoma.
Sure. So good afternoon. Thank you all for having me out here today. NextEra Energy Resources is the largest generator of renewable energy from the wind and sun in the world. We have the largest rate-regulated utility in the country, largest purchaser of natural gas, and we're typically in the top 5-6 largest infrastructure investors in the country on an annual basis. We have the largest natural gas fleet in the country. We're one of the largest producers of oil and gas in southeast Oklahoma. We have one of the largest nuclear fleets in the country. So when we say we're an all-of-the-above energy company, we truly mean we're an all-of-the-above energy company. We want to do what's right, what's best for ratepayers. We want to do what's right, best for our customers and for the states in which we're developing. So we cater the type of technology, the type of project based on the need, based on price, based on environment, where we are, what we can build, the scale and scope of what we can build. But we'll essentially do everything because that's been the desire of our customers, and it's our business mentality of just being an all-of-the-above energy company, having fuel diversity. It's very helpful from the financial perspective of the business to kind of mitigate some of that risk.
And we certainly saw mitigation during Winter Storm Uri, right? 4 years ago.
Absolutely.
And what Oklahoma was able to do and not have the same kind of devastating impacts as Texas did. Right?
That's absolutely right. So Oklahoma, I think, benefited really positively compared to some of its neighbors. It wasn't great, right? I think we can all agree it wasn't great, but we didn't have those blackouts like we saw in Texas. And I think part of it is Oklahoma is a part of the Southwest Power Pool, so you're able to kind of share this power amongst the 13, 14 states that are in the Southwest Power Pool. So we were able to keep the lights on. ERCOT in Texas is kind of separated out. It's its own little grid. So they didn't have the luxury that we were able to have here, where we could bring in import power from other places. We saw instances where maybe the wind wasn't blowing during some of these storms, or we had some wells that were frozen up, but having the fact that we had an all the above energy approach here in Oklahoma, when the wind wasn't blowing, we had oil and gas. When wells were frozen, we had wind. So we were able to keep the grid going, and that's why I think it's really important to continue to have a diverse fuel mix in the state of Oklahoma and in the Southwest Power Pool.
Yeah, the other day we were talking, you talked about a trifecta project.
Yes.
Can you explain to everybody what that is? And
Absolutely.
I mean, your face kind of lights up when you start
Yes.
talking about the excitement around this.
So it's one of my favorite projects, I think, that we're working on in my states. It's called the Skeleton Creek Energy Center. It's out in Garfield and Alfalfa counties, western Oklahoma. It's one that we've been calling a trifecta project in the state. It'll be our first trifecta. It is an energy center of wind, solar, and storage together. So what we've seen based on our modeling, and these projects take forever to build. It's a number of years. So we do a lot of environmental studies. We do a lot of wind speed studies, and a company called NextAir Analytics. That's a part of our organization that really looks at the weather, environmental patterns. And we're able to really see that with this particular project, you have wind, you have solar, you have storage. Wind is producing pretty much all day, but typically wind produces better at night. You have solar, which I think does clearly a better job during the day, sun's not up at night. And you have storage to kind of level off that intermittency. So you're creating a near firm product in a facility that you can essentially run all day long. So really excited about this project. It's going to go completely online later this year. The wind project is already up and operating. Solar and storage are currently under construction. All said and done, we're looking at $1 billion in capital investment for this community with this one particular project. So really, really excited about that one. And I think there's going to be more to come on these types of projects, especially with the cost of storage coming down tremendously. Storage has definitely been something that Texas, after Winter Storm Uri, really invested in, and that's really helped. Since Winter Storm Uri, they haven't had another example because they have been able to rely on renewables, oil and gas, and now with the addition of storage has been really helpful.
We're going to shift a little bit. We keep talking about, so far, what we've talked about is what that future looks like, right? A current project, but what the future policy is. But it's pretty hard to talk about energy in Oklahoma if you're not going to talk about the history, right? And we're sitting just a couple of miles away from the Clinton field. And that history really, unfortunately, is littered with orphan and abandoned wells. And you guys are really at the forefront of this right now. I mean, the Bipartisan Infrastructure Act 4 years ago, 2021, there was $4.7 billion the federal government put into the bill for plugging orphan and abandoned wells. And that money was divided across the states and the tribes. And you guys are now getting some of that work done. So talk a little bit about what you're doing with the program here in the nation.
Yes, when we started here, we weren't really sure of how big this problem would be. But over the last year and a half, we've identified over 185 well bores across all of our trust properties in Muskogee Creek Nation. And since then, we've been able to prioritize those lists and get those wells on a list to where we're going to be able to start plugging and remediating these wells starting next spring. But as of right now, there's a little over 6,000 orphan wells just inside Muskogee Creek Nation. So it's a larger problem than you think. There's over 20,000 orphan wells documented in Oklahoma, but that's not including all of the undocumented wells. And, until this, we started keeping a closer eye on this, we didn't realize how close these orphan wells were to, our schools, our communities, our hospitals, anywhere. And we're just, starting to tackle this project and staying excited about it.
So when you talk about, well, first, can you explain the difference between orphan and abandoned for the audience?
Absolutely. They're the same thing.
Besides, it's a hole in the ground that you can take care of.
Yes. Yes, an orphan oil and gas well is deemed orphaned or abandoned after an operator once responsible for the well no longer exists or cannot be located, or when the operator has forfeited their surety bond for the well. Then these wells are put into two categories. The state fund list, also known as the plugging list, slated to be plugged using the state plugging fund, or the orphan well list. And these wells are available for adoption by oil and gas companies and carbon capture companies.
Sorry, I'm trying to keep up with Corey. She's texting me questions here. So one of the first questions that we got was, what are tools that individuals or landowners could use to identify orphan or abandoned wells?
So we actually get this question a lot by our citizens and by our neighbors. If you have a property and you just want to know if there's a well on your property or if there has been in the past, the Oklahoma Corporation Commission is a website that you can use, occ.com. There is a link that you can utilize called
OCC Well Finder.
OCC well data finder. Sorry, I couldn't grab that well data finder. Well data finder. You can type in your address or whatever area you're in, and it'll bring up your address and it'll show you all the little dots around that area, and it'll give you a map key that tells you the type of well it was, whether it's a dry well, a plugged well, an orphaned, oil well, gas well, but it shows you absolutely everything that was located on that property. And then if you have questions from there, you're more than welcome to call us. We can come out. There might not be a whole lot that we can do on your property, just because we're very limited with our funding, with the rules and regulations that we have to follow, as to what all we can actually do for you. But we're more than willing to come out and take a look at it and tell you, hey, the map might say it's right here, but it very well could be 400 or 500 yards across your property. Sometimes the GPS isn't as reliable as what the data shows that it is. But yeah, we've gone out to other people's property before and just went out there and said, yeah, that's a well, and they say, well, what do we do? Hey, here's the OCC phone number. Give those guys a call and go from there. But you can use that for the well data finder. And if you walked across your property and you saw absolutely nothing, we utilize drones. There's methane detectors. You can use regular metal detectors. There's all kinds of different things that you can use to actually find these wells.
So the other resource that I would add, as you're looking to clean things up, would be OERB, the Oklahoma Energy Resources Board. So it's unique. We're the only state in the country to have an organization like that. We call it a quasi-state agency, but it's a checkoff program for both oil and gas production across the state. The companies pay, the state collects that money, OERB uses it. Half of their money goes towards education, half of it goes towards environmental restoration. And last year, their 2024 annual report, they cleaned up over 21,000 sites across the state and $160 million. So again, another really good resource. You've got something on your property, you're trying to figure out what it is. But one of the questions kind of crossover between orphan and abandoned wells, but also maybe the work that the center did on geothermal is, can orphan or abandoned oil and gas wells be used for geothermal resources?
Hand that one over to you.
They can, in fact, yes, yeah. And so, yeah, that's the exciting, part of the work that we're doing. I think we take a very practical approach in the work that we're doing, and I think we, as we've all talked about, we want cleaner, better, safer sources, and we are interested in taking any waste product, right, and turning it into something that can be valuable and can be used as a resource by our communities and our people. And so one of those areas is the use of geothermal wells to traditional oil and gas wells to repurpose them. And there are a number of different ways they actually can be repurposed. There's a lot of research and work going on in this space, and there are a lot of geological factors that sort of play into whether or not you can be successful in doing this, but those are all things certainly that we're looking at. And as I mentioned earlier, we do have the 3 live well bores in our research lab. One of them is specifically for geothermal, so we are doing work in that space. And unfortunately, I don't know a ton more about the work that we're doing just yet, but we'll have more to come on that for
But just
sure.
the idea of, it may be an ugly mark from our state history around oil and gas, but maybe it's a piece of what the energy future looks like in our state. Right?
Could be a very valuable, resource for us.
How do you
most
connect
definitely.
all these pieces and reuse things? So, thank you. Katie, since you've got the microphone, note historical precedent for the amount of energy growth we need to meet our near-term needs. Should we be thinking more about moonshot energy technologies like fusion?
Yes. And I think the number one thing we heard at the AI and Energy Summit was from everyone, again, we need more, we need it faster, and we need it all. Like we every single source of energy that's available out there, we are going to need to use. And so the more that we can innovate and make the sources that are already viable, efficient, and then developing those that are on the horizon, geothermal and nuclear, are part of that conversation. But yes, we need it all, and we need it now.
So the next question, Nico, this is probably to you, maybe a little bit of background to it as well. The question is, are we looking at integrating wind and solar into the same energy grid in the same place? And what I would say as background is, to balance when one oak is balancing natural gas in a pipeline, we can adjust pressure, we can hold pool, there's a lot of things you can do. The electrical grid is different, right? The electron goes on, the electron comes off. Always has to be balanced. So we were talking before about the interconnection queue, and you mentioned Southwest Power Pool. So this could be a whole panel all by itself. We don't need to get that level of detail, but maybe just share with everybody how long it takes to get a project connected to the grid.
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's something I think that's a big topic of discussion, or has been a big topic of discussion in the state in this year in particular. Because I want to just kind of also touch a point that Katie made, and really express that it is absolutely true. We need as much energy as possible, and I think one of the hardest parts in all this is getting through that Southwest Power Pool queue. It can take anywhere from 5 to 7 years to get through the entire queue process currently. So you have to do a bunch of different studies. You have to determine, you have site control over your land, that you're looking at developing the project, and then SPP looks at it, you sign an interconnection agreement, and then you look to put the energy on the grid. Yes, I think there are a lot of places where people are potentially looking at putting energy on the grid at the same substation. The SPP queue kind of determines people put in a queue position, and once you get to a certain point where you're overloaded or you can't put any more electrons on the grid at that point, you'll trigger what's called network upgrades. And essentially what that means is new transmission or new substations or whatnot. So when we have these discussions about we really need all this energy and we need it now, that's great and we love it and we want to build it. But if we don't have the transmission infrastructure to take that energy from where it's being produced to whomever needs it, what are we doing, right? So transmission is going to be a critical part in this huge build out. And it's really, our CEO will say, we haven't seen, or we will not see, or haven't seen this type of load growth since World War II. So we're dealing with something that is in our generation now, is something that we're going to have to figure out. But transmission is going to play a huge part, because without transmission, you could build all the energy all day long. You're not going to be able to use it.
So next question ties into how we build the transmission. And for electricity, it's transmission. For natural gas liquids, others, it's pipelines. Hydrogen, potentially, it's pipelines. The question is, we keep talking about this huge demand, this huge need for energy. Is there a concern for the impact this will all have on the environment, specifically natural resources such as water? And I would say it's water and air. But as we've talked a little bit about before about the interconnection and permitting, like, the idea that companies are absolutely focused on taking care of the environment. So Nico, from NextEra's perspective, and maybe Katie from what you heard this summer as well.
Yeah, very important for us. I think we're in alignment with everything that Katie has said and Muskogee Creek Nation comments a little bit earlier, and really the Sustainability Alliance. We want to build out, clean, reliable, cost-effective energy. So when we're talking about renewable energy, no carbon emissions, we do a bunch of environmental studies for each of our different projects to make sure that we're not really impacting the natural environment in these particular communities. But environment is very important in things that we look at, and a lot of times to our particular customers, to our landowners. When we build our renewable projects, it's typically releasing land from landowners that they may farm. So we want to make sure that we're not doing things that would be impactful to their land and their livelihood if they are farmers and ranchers.
Okay, it's a great question, and yes, it's something I think that every energy company is interested in and concerned about, and the tech companies obviously as well. It's a huge priority for them, and it's important to note that producing energy itself requires an intense amount of energy, right? I mean, I think the state of Oklahoma is one of the highest energy users in the country because we produce oil and gas and some of these other sources here. It's so we need a lot of energy to produce it and then provide it to the end user, right? Whether it be AI or advanced manufacturing or whatever it may be. Water obviously is a very important issue in the state of Oklahoma. And across the country as well. And I think that's something that everybody is grappling with. I think you've seen huge advancements in the oil and gas space in particular with the use of recycled water. OSU, I know, has a research project they're working on right now in the space of produced water, and my guess is that you're going to see some additional work from the HANA Institute in that space as well. It is used for the production of most energy sources, right? Regardless of what it is. Nuclear needs an incredible amount of water, right, to cool these systems. AI needs a ton of water to cool these chips, right, when they're training. And so it is something that everyone is really keeping their eye on, but that is also why in this space we're really trying to focus on innovations and new technologies. There's actually nuclear being developed right now that will not require the use of water at all. It's not yet, economical or scalable, but there is work being done in that space. And the more that we can kind of work with all of our partners in this and figure out how we can continue to increase and meet the energy demand without depleting resources, or figuring out how to recycle them and make them useful, the better off we're all going to be.
The more we just continue to educate everybody, right? You talked about workforce. We've got a couple of questions about education for kids in our schools, but in my team's opinion, the more that we educate everybody, where their energy comes from and what's required, then the better off we all are. We are seeing it across the country right now, where in some states that they're blocking some projects versus others. Again, in my personal opinion, this is more about market share often than it is of what's the best overall solution. So that's my soapbox for the day. Question about prairie plants such as Indian grass and their carbon sequestration. If we could use this to have less carbon in the atmosphere, how do you think we should use this? Do you guys have a piece on that, or?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Yep.
I mean, one of them's got a pretty significant program. The idea of, pipelines under the ground, but then how do you maintain that right away? And then we ought to do it using native plants and native species. and that we should maintain those right of ways for, not just those plants, but pollinators. And how do we use that across our whole footprint? I mean, One Oak's footprint is Illinois to Montana, Louisiana to New Mexico, Canada to the Gulf, right? So that whole footprint down the middle of the country, and anything we can do like that across our right of ways is just a huge help for us. And we're going to go out and we're going to plant anyways, and we're going to go out and maintain a right of way. Why not do it the right way? So again, and that's not unique to us. Williams is a similar program in the states that they're in. So I think that's something that you'll see companies continue those types of efforts.
I would like to say we have partnered with the YouTube Butterfly Farm. So after we are plugging these wells and remediating them, we're going to turn them back to their natural state with pollinator plants.
But that to me is the example, right? I mean, it's how do you take an abandoned well and use it for geothermal, put pollinator plants on top of it, right? How do we clean all of this up? That is our history, but also use those lessons as we talk about building up the energy that we need in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Absolutely.
And I think the only way you do that is you keep talking about it. Bring back to the chief's comment about the discussion. You have to keep having these discussions. How much of the electricity made from wind turbines stays in Oklahoma? Why are so many counties in Oklahoma opposed to having wind turbines in their counties? Nico, I don't know if you can answer the first part of how much wind energy stays in the state.
Yeah, it's hard to say specifically because you're putting it on the grid through SPP, right? So because we through Southwest Power Pool pool the power between those 13 or 14 states, it's kind of goes through the grid, and you can't really grab electrons that come from wind and hold them. So that is a little difficult to say. Now, when it comes to sentiment around wind, I think there's been a lot of discussion this year up at the state capitol around renewable energy resources, wind, solar, and even some discussion around storage. It's tough, right? It's a tough situation at times because there are folks that are just truly opposed. There are folks that really like it, but ultimately what we're seeing is in polling, renewables are actually somewhat popular in the state of Oklahoma, up there pretty close with oil and gas. But the voices that you're hearing are the loud opponents, right? So I'm going to take a shameless plug here and just say, if you are somebody that wants all forms of energy or you want renewable energy resources, your voice truly, truly matters. I say that from experience this year, working up at the state capitol around some of these anti-renewable bills that were passing around. What really moved the needle with members was hearing from folks like you, folks that are in the community, because again, they hear the loud voices. They see the posts on social media. Those are the folks that are calling their office, calling their county commissioners, opposing projects, and they're just not hearing from the proponents. So having more proponents speak out in those avenues, whether it's through advocacy at the State House or advocacy at your local county commissioner meetings, when there are projects coming through, your voice matters. Landowner rights are important, and I think legislators and others need to hear that. So if it is something that's really important to you, I encourage you to do that advocacy.
This question back to Tiger and Trent. You mentioned the OCC website. I mentioned OERB. I know that OERB is more site reclamation than it is work with abandoned wells, but talk about the collaboration that you guys have with OCC and their teams.
Yes, once we identified all these wells, I got with the Oklahoma Corporation Commission and, bounced different wells off of them to see, and there were some discrepancies in the information. They might have a well that says it's plugged, and me and Trent are standing next to a live pump jack. Or stumble across a Christmas tree that's leaking, and, they said this one was, they'd already did an inspection and, found nothing on the site, and we're standing right next to it, sending them a picture. But no, it's been good. They've been able to help us prioritize our list and give us, a lot of information. regarding the dates that they plugged these wells, the last time they were out there to do an inspection, and then, just narrowing things down, helping them identify what wells are on Indian lands and which ones are on, just public fee lands, because that's something that I've noticed that there's some issues with, is just figuring out who the property owners are in Muskogee Creek Nation.
I know our time is getting ready to close up, so we're going to pass the mic for some closing comments.
All right.
I have a bunch of questions still in here. The one person that's asking questions specifically about high school education, I'd love to talk to you afterwards, so please come and find me. Okay? Yeah, lots of ideas. Sure. So kind of closing thoughts?
I just want to take a minute and thank you guys for coming out today. We've learned a ton doing this orphan well program. Tiger and I started here last year, around about January 2025, and it's been a wealth of knowledge, a lot of blood, sweat, and a ton of tears. I cry almost every morning, definitely every evening, just because I'm just too overwhelmed some days. But it's been great. It's been a lot of fun, and it's a tough job, and it's tough being in the environmental field sometimes. But we learn a lot, we love a lot, and thank you guys for coming out and supporting us. So thank you.
I'm just very thankful that I've landed in this position to help my tribe. And I think there's a lot of opportunity, not just for our tribe, but the other 5 civilized tribes and all the tribes across Oklahoma, to utilize these orphan wells and repurpose them for, enhanced oil recovery, geothermal. We're just diving into this, there's carbon capture. There's so many opportunities for these orphan wells, or just put them back into production. It's just going to determine where you're located across the state, the depths of these wells, what your resources are, what your plan is. But I feel like the more we get involved in this and discover what's working for different, tribes and companies in different locations, that we're just going to be able to utilize, make the most of what's there and repurpose these wells to benefit everyone.
No, I want to thank everybody again for being here, and thank you, Mike T, for moderating the panel. Just from my perspective, Oklahoma's been really great to our company, Next Energy Resources, for a number of years. Been in the state about 22 years, about 8.4 billion in the ground. We're ready to eclipse 10 billion by the end of this year in renewable energy projects and some gas and oil and gas infrastructure, as well as transmission. So looking forward to future, but my final parting note, similar to what I mentioned in the previous answer, just advocate. You are your best advocate. If you are supportive of projects, please follow your county commissions. A lot of times we do have to go get reduced agreements and other permits, and the opposition is getting a lot more creative on how to oppose certain projects. So we need pro-renewable voices out there at the State House, pro-renewable voices within the counties. Because ultimately it's your land, right? So if you want these projects on your property, you should be able to make that decision, and not somebody that lives 100 miles away that just because they have a louder voice, they get to make that decision for you. So really encourage you to do that. Thank you for all the work.
Okay, I'm going to go back to the education and workforce piece because it's so important, and I'm also passionate about it. But I want to touch on, another area, I didn't mention, but on the emissions monitoring and detection piece, that is another area that is really evolving right now. It's changing every day, and there's some great technologies out there, but they all measure different things at different points in time. There's not one technology that exists today that can give you a really true assessment of what's going on. And so that's another space where it's going to be critically important for us, to be involved in that work. And there's some really significant applications for AI to be able to help us do that better. But it's really, again, important to get our kids educated and encourage them to go into these workforce, opportunities in this space so that we can help solve these problems and we can be a leader not only in America, but in Oklahoma.
So, I think coming back to the workforce piece, right? Talking about how we're educating kids. I mean, you want to talk about the future, right? Drive the future where we want our kids to be. What we're going to leave our kids with from an energy, from an environment standpoint, but also leave them with as far as careers. To me, that nice close. Good summation. Thank you all. Please, again, another round of applause for our panelists. Corey, I'm turning it back over to you.
Let's give Mike a round of applause. Well, thank you all so much for being with us and so many questions. Sorry, I flooded you.
I know, there's a bunch.
Yeah. And, sorry, I guess I need this. Okay, thank you. Okay, all right. Thank you so much. I know there's a lot of other questions that weren't answered today that maybe we can find a way to get some of the answers and give back to our guests. And so many related to all of the different items that you all cover, and just appreciate the breadth of that. And again, a big thank you to Muskogee Creek Nation for hosting today, to James and Chrissy for that coordination, and thank you, Second Chief for coming today and welcoming us and encouraging us to do the right thing. Again, thank you for being here. We have an exit survey there for you to share your thoughts. We'd love to hear from you and continue to improve and grow on these programs. And so thank you for taking a moment to do that. I also want to acknowledge my board members that are with us today. We have Kathy Knopf, our president. We have Pam Taylor right there. We have Richard Cox right here. And of course, Mike Teague is also serving on our board, and Christy Lawson on our board. And did I miss anybody?
Rick.
Rick Katarski, and I know that Tracy was here earlier, Tracy Phillips. Okay. Give them a round of applause because they are amazing too. And a big thank you to my team as well. Morgan Fairley right here, give a wave, all right? And Jill is out in the hallway managing and make sure everything's going well. And then over here to Missy McCumbaugh, give them a round of applause. They are amazing. Okay, so if you didn't get enough today, which I can tell you didn't with all your questions, we do have another event coming up. It's our first Thursday program. Next Thursday, we'll be in Tulsa, and Clint, he'll give away there, Clint Johnson there with INCOG and his team. We're going to be collaborating with him to get an idea from our community what it is that you would like to do, what are some projects already happening right now, produce greenhouse gas, and how we can work collaboratively toward these projects. So we want to hear from you, projects that you're working on, what you want to work on. So if you're interested in learning a little more about that, I know Clint will be out there at his table. So please go by and please join us next Thursday. It's free and open to the public. We'd love to have you with us. So come join us there. Also, just we have other programs coming up. Our B2B Takes for Sustainability series. We'll have another one in November in Oklahoma City, and we're going to talk about that supply chain challenge and also how to track that. So really looking forward to that conversation. And thank you so much for being here. I think that's it. Again, thanks to the hospitality, and become a member today. Join us and help us do more of this work. We'd love to have you. We're super excited to see students here today, and also Public Schools being with us today. Thank you for coming and bringing your students to learn, because that's what's next. That's who's going to lead and be in charge of how we protect this environment. So thank you so much. And looks like there's still some food and cobbler and booths are still around. So stick around. All right, take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.